You want to remerge the TCG and the OCG. Make sure you guys smash the crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out more on us comments. So this is always an interesting takeaway and a discussion that I always find very interesting that players try to push the agenda towards. Because players are like, oh my god, if we just unify the TCG and the OCG, we will fix all of the problems that the game has. That is not the case anymore. The reason why, and this has been the case for years now, no matter how Yu-Gi-Oh is, it's just they cannot find a way to unify the games. All right, and unfortunately, this is just kind of a case across the board with the way that Yu-Gi-Oh has always worked, because there's always this natural lag. Now, there was a point that it kind of felt like, we had sets about a month and a half behind Japan. It was the closest I think I have ever seen this game come. And then, of course, we do have a couple of products that have been simultaneously releasing. By the way, it's the first time we've ever had simultaneous products in the history of this game. And the fact that, we are somewhat seeing a interesting point where we are getting to that product, you kind of get the illusion that, the games could merge. So here's the thing. The main reason why we do not see these games coming back together has been differences on the ban list for ages. What works for one side of the game doesn't work for the other side anymore. And this is a thing that's crazy to think about here, and it really does prove to me that some aspects of wanting this argument don't take into consideration the way that the different games feel from each other. I mean, yes, you can say that, it's still Yu-Gi-Oh! And it's still underneath the same helm, sure. I get that. All right, we have this beautiful idea that if we all hold hands and come together, that Yu-Gi-Oh's problems magically fix itself. No. That will never be the case. When we were underneath the unified ban list, and we would have, a certain sector like certain decks, other sectors, guess what? Promo cards would come out. Japan would get a manga promo that America doesn't have because, one card ends up changing the entire, feel of that ecosystem. I mean, back in the day, we had manga promos that were game changers, scores, gold sarcophagus. One of these promo cards that one region couldn't get their hands on, while the other region, especially, the Asian territories that couldn't play with these manga promos but were still underneath the helm of the Japanese ban list, they had a terrible time. And they did not enjoy that whatsoever. And I don't blame them for that. I honestly thought that was stupid as crap. That, you're spinning this narrative here about wanting to, create the game and have it be hold hands together. But it doesn't work, man. And also look at TCG players. Look how we complain about certain things that Japan has allowed to get underneath the radar for years. Look at the Borreload Savage argument right now. Savage is one of the key defining differences between our formats right now. It was Apollosa for a little while, but TCG got to take care of that. And you want to take this away? You want to take away the TCG's ability to fix problems. You want to think that it's okay that Borreload Savage Dragons, okay, having an Omni Negate running around, the very thing that the TCG has bitched, moaned, and literally shat on the floor about. Suddenly, we want this unification to come together. There is no hand holding when Japan is the one that runs the ban list. They're the one that gets the final say in everything. Konami Japan is the one that controls everything. Whatever arguments that you want to make, well, I assume that if they all come together, like English or America will get equal input. No, never. All right, I'm sorry. Do you know how hard it is that I imagine that they have to fight to get some of these changes? It's a delusional fantasy to think that, combining the game back together will work. No, ban list is too different. Our player bases, and actually this is another crazy thing too, Hey, have you guys ever heard of marketing? Have you guys ever heard of what works in one region won't necessarily work in a fucking another? And I never got this, actually, because I understand, the American, standard of teaching is been abysmal dog shit, but I figured, people would have a little bit of an understanding of what works being marketed to one Asian region, in the way that they're structuring products. Even let's use Asian English, for example. Things that work in Asian English don't necessarily work here. You don't get the la-di-da-di-da, produce these things when, you have to have things be more concrete and more value here on the American side. It's just more wide areas to cover, more events to go through. I mean, you think these regionals pay for themselves? No, man, Konami's paying for that out of pocket and eating it as a tax write-off or giving credits to these stores, in the future. However, the scenario is like America does technically have the most events every weekend for regional caliber. All right, we're not going to make an argument and go, oh no, Japan has more. No. It's literally North America has the most higher caliber events. So, of course, the North American branch is going to use more of that budget, and they're going to market towards this particular thing, which means if this player base is running the game on a higher tier caliber, then shouldn't they be allowed to run their format the way that they need to? Shouldn't they be allowed to get the input that they need to keep things simple? If you've not noticed right now, and you're like, oh, we can unify the game. Korea has their own ban list. Chinese Yu-Gi-Oh has their own ban list. We have North America having their own ban list. Technically, Europe is on its own ban list. Things you don't talk about for 500 for Europe. There's still a couple manga promos that aren't even legal over there. So we are going to count Europe as their own thing because Judgment of the Pharaoh and Yu-Gi-Oh! Friendship still are not legal over there. All right. Fun facts for 500. All right. Until... And, so Korean, Chinese, simplified Chinese. Technically, you have the Asian territories as well, because I believe some of them don't have manga promos yet legal. You've got 5 to 6 different miniature formats sparkling around in this. And in order to, bring this all together, you have to find a way to unify all these formats, which, by the way, becomes massively impossible because the Chinese version of Yu-Gi-Oh! Is up to Creation Pack 10, and they are just very slowly, we are trickling in some of the oldest cards that we can. And don't even get me started on Asian English. All right, Asian English is... they've got 2 years of card pool built into their system that they've gotten their hands on so far. So... you cannot, it is impossible to unify this game underneath the same helm as we are right now. You make the argument that it'd be easier if things were, and sure it would, but it's just impossible. The simultaneous releases has been one of the best positives of the game, though. I like that, we've got the Chronicle anime underneath our belt. I like that we are actually using the Chronicle anime to actually appropriately market certain things and certain advertisements, which is actually a pretty good thing. Konami actually does get a pass there. Having simultaneous releases to some degree across some of the game is a start in the right direction. It might not be the direction that we want the game to go, but at this stage, I think you got to be willing to take what you can get, and the point of this video was to talk about how crackpot this theory is of some mystical world of unifying the game when it's just impossible to do. There are too many factors across the entire platform at this point that just make this too impossible to actually do. And I assume that somebody out here would be like, oh no, it can be done. No, man, it really can't. There's simultaneous releases to a certain degree is the closest we are going to get, and I don't think we're going to see anything else. Unifying the ban list will be one of the worst decisions you could actually do at this point. There have to be fundamental differences between the games because the player bases do not think the same. It just does not work. So please, leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Patrons! Thank you! Ah!
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.